Hello there, it's Toastie Potato here. Welcome back to my series on how to build trees in Minecraft. I'm doing this series because I've often felt unsatisfied with others' trees being not quite to the scale that I want, or the shapes not quite being to my liking. I hope you find what I'm working on helpful for you to build and develop your own trees. This episode, we're exploring olive trees. These also, like my previous episode, are not in the game. They can be quite challenging because they're a relatively small tree, maximum 15 to 20 blocks, 20 is really pushing it, but often more like 10 or less. Olive trees can go from tall and skinny with a few branches to low, squatting, and gnarled in appearance, depending on how old they are. Getting that level of detail on trees of this scale is challenging. I'm going to show you several generations from some very tall to medium to an ancient tree and how we get the leaves right to get that silvery color and appearance that the olive tree often does. Join me in the creator server and I look forward to showing you. Our starter tree is already hundreds of years old, to be fair. Top walls are our block of choice today. Once again, providing you with a nice slender base similar to what we were doing with the palm trees. This allows you to build fairly delicate looking trees, as it'll be a very, very ancient tree, probably thousands of years old, if we're using single solid blocks. That's because those solid blocks are about 1 meter wide, and that's seriously thick for a tree trunk. Working our way up, we're going to be going for some cobbled deep slate. That gives you some silhouette for when you're in the crown of the tree, using panes of glass to pull the walls into each other and make for some nicer shapes. We're going to go with some dark oak fences and gates to make the finer branches. That gives us this tall, slender form. This tree has not seen much hardship in its life. This is probably the maximum height you get for an olive tree. You could really push it, like I said, to 20 blocks, but this is kind of as tall as you should be going. Otherwise, it starts to lose the scale for what's realistically going to be a tree of this age. For the leaves, our tree is primarily going to be made of birch blocks. It has a nice delicacy, which is similar to reality. And to get that grey silvery tone, which olive trees often have, we're using pale oak leaves. The silver is there as a natural defense mechanism against the harsh climates which olive trees often exist in, reflecting the hot sunlight. Although the whole tree will not be silver, typically you find it on one side of the leaves, so you'll get this shimmer between silver and green. The birch and the pale oak work really well to give that tone. However, on the outer edges, you might want to use azalea or something like that to keep with the smaller leaf types, but give you a sense of growth and a lighter tone that's happening at the edge of the tree. What I find is a really good tip is around the base of a tree, use your shovel to create path blocks. Often you find the bottom of trees shaded the ground, so nothing's really growing there. Look up at the crown, you can see the shape of it above it, and then use it as a guide to make paths around it, and it really helps connect the tree to the ground. We can make more dramatic shapes by using stairs and walls at the same time. Similar as before, I'm using glass panes to pull the walls, but by placing a stair next to a wall, especially when it's sideways on, they don't connect. So you can get trunk blocks right next to each other. This allows you to get a dense shape while still having space between it, similar to what you'd find in real life, where you get trunks growing in a V shape very close to each other, but not actually connecting. This tree is about 8 blocks tall. Its trunk is thicker. It has probably been in a much more exposed situation, and so I'm starting to use the cobbled deep slate at a lower height. I'm going to have the canopy as well at a lower height. I'm still using dark oak fences and gates because I don't want it to stand out too much when you look inside the canopy. What I didn't mention when we were working on the taller tree is how I'm spacing the leaves. I'm using the pale oak blocks internally and the birch on the outside. That means that we get the delicate texture but the grey behind. It's also very important that you leave enough spaces between the leaf blocks. Olive trees in reality are quite sparse, they don't form a very dense big canopy, and so you want to replicate that in the way that you're forming your crown. Olive trees are resilient. They can live thousands of years old and take a lot of abuse. The abuse is what lets olive trees have some amazing twisted shapes and get some real cool character. For this tree, I'm building it like it's been seriously damaged during a storm. I'm building it like it had 2 thick branches reaching out either side. Those branches might have broken off, And so you're just left with this very squat and wide shape. I'm using walls below stairs and slabs to get that gnarled appearance, and using corner stairs to carefully twist the top of the trunk. In this case, I'm using spruce fences and gates. I want it to feel a bit different than the dark oak. I think because you're close to it, you'll be seeing a lighter branch, but also like the way that when tree trunks do get damaged or break, they grow vertical branches straight up, and those branches are very new in comparison to the trunk. The spruce gives that feeling. With a smattering of pale oak and birch, this canopy is going to be far more restricted than the larger trees, but my gosh, this tree does have character. And making it a bit denser in this case is going to be something you're going to engage at a much closer level, so I feel like the density is appropriate for its size. As with the others, I'm using my shovel to make a path around the base, creating the sense that the tree is drawing out the moisture nearby its trunk and inhibiting other plant growth, throwing in a few dead bushes as well just to make it feel more like that. So there we are, 3 different scales of olive tree, each with their own history, shown by how weather-beaten they are and how decrepit they are. Remember, think about the environment as you can be building them in. Where's the prevailing wind? How exposed are they? And let that determine what happened to your tree and why its shape is the way it is. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found that helpful and I hope you enjoyed it. As with my coconut palm episode, which I've done in the past, which I'll try link up into one of the corners, I will be continuing to do this with a number of different trees. I have a few already in my history, which I'll be drawing up and showing you, and I hope you find that they are helpful for yourselves. If you have any other suggestions, please pop them down in the comments. I hope you're enjoying, and I'll catch you later. Bye.